Ladies and gentlemen, it is Turnbuckle Talk. It is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. Today we're going to be doing Point to Prove 2025. You've got me, Chris Best, alongside OMD here. As soon as I can get our overlay up, there it is. OMD, today I've had myself a bit of ups and downs as I was talking to you before the stream.
Yes.
One down is I have a shoulder injury. I have what is a suspected torn rotator cuff. And we've got Chris Parrish coming in and saying hello. And I'm glad you're here, Parrish, because I'm about to reveal some good news that's big in my life as well. Got myself a job interview tomorrow. I can't tell you guys where because I don't like talking about it on stream.
Right. And congratulations to your brother. Hoping all the best for you. But health-wise, you just can't catch a break, can you?
Especially in the month of March and April. Remember last year? I was. Remember last year with my knee issues all through the month of April? I missed 2 or 3 episodes of Turnbuckle Talk because of it.
Yep.
It sucked, but hopefully this will get sorted out. I got anti-inflammatories for it right now, so. But yeah, how have you been, brother?
I've been very well, actually. Sort of nice. I'm still on the come down from the March break, but now that the grind is back, and today was another long, slow day, but. We're in Northern Ontario, so the weather kept people home.
It obviously didn't keep me home because I was at the ER for a good chunk of the day. So
yeah.
But you know what? Since we're talking about like new job offers and things like that, I think it's showtime. It's about showtime, and we talk about our first story of the day. So as announced sometime last week, March 21st specifically, the WWE is looking to hire new writers and producers for both Raw and SmackDown. The job description is listed on the company's LinkedIn posting. WWE develops and produces 52 weeks of original programming for 2 of the longest-running weekly episodic television shows. Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Both Raw and SmackDown combine action, drama, reality, comedy, and adventure. The goal of the creative team is to provide compelling stories portrayed by the world's most charismatic, diverse, larger-than-life characters on and off screen. It also gives out the lists of responsibilities, develop clearly defined yet emotionally sophisticated characters for a diverse group of WWE talent. Script descriptive, thought-provoking, captivating, and creative storylines for Raw, SmackDown, and select programming on the WWE Network, streaming on Peacock. Okay. I was going to say the network doesn't exist anymore, but yeah.
Again, this is a huge opportunity for some lucky wrestling fans, I guess. I know this is something that in the past, Carl and I have looked into long before the days of LinkedIn and all of those job sites. The problem for us, because I know like if we could, we would, and if we could do it from home, we'd be all over it.
Yeah,
you do have to relocate to Stamford.
Yes, you do. You got to relocate to Stamford, Connecticut. And now you have to have a degree that falls in my line of work, my other line of work, which is film or television. So that would be me or Bubba. But even Chris Parrish who's also coming in here saying, since I decided to do my creative ideas as well before this posting came up, I think I might be a good man for the job. And I guarantee you, if you guys ever listen to the Chris Parrish podcast, he's got some pretty great ideas as far as story building goes.
Oh, he does. He does, even with the stuff we chat about off stream and all of that afterwards.
Yeah, and now the qualifications are asking for is 5+ years of writing for TV or film producing and directing experience is a plus. Professional TV or film staff experience preferred. Experience in live TV production is also a plus. Previous experience with working on-screen talent, creative writers, and producers, understanding of WWE's audience is preferred. They're looking for anybody who's got a bachelor in film, TV, drama, media studies, communications, or similar field of study, or a validated experience in lieu of a degree preferred. So again, my college degree would fall in that line.
I think we should all qualify because we're all former wrestlers.
we do know the product, but again, they look at those people who have those degrees in film writing. And here's the other thing that a lot of filmmakers will tell you: they don't give two shits if you have that degree.
No.
It's all about the on the field experience, you know.
Yeah.
But no, this is an interesting job offer. I've actually also sent out an application, didn't get a word back. This was like maybe 10 years ago I did.
Right.
But I would maybe if this job interview tomorrow doesn't pan out, maybe that's what I do next.
Right.
Can't get a job in the industry you're trying to get into, go into the other industry you were once a part of.
Right. Industry adjacent is the correct terminology.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who these the new writers, new producers are. If there is going to be any news about these hirings, which we don't really see that news, but
right,
sometimes we can see how it translates onto television.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we know that we see it at the end of every WWE show, that it's produced by Paul Triple H Levesque and Lee Fitting, with the exception of tonight where it's Paul Triple H Levesque, Lee Fitting, and Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't get that luxury of seeing all of the script writers, all of the producers, all of the cameramen and women, all of the ring techs, all of that stuff. Yeah,
well, in that case, you might as well be just writing a credit scroll for a film at that point, because that's where everybody gets listed.
Except that in wrestling, there's no stunt doubles.
Well, there is. Damien Mizdow was one.
Yes, he was.
So, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I may give it a shot and read a little bit more into it myself and see. Just throw my name in the hat to see what happens.
Right.
What do you say we move on to that though, and talk a little AEW and WWE? Actually,
let's do it.
Now, a WWE Hall of Famer who went to work for AEW is now coming back to the WWE. And not in the way that, like, he's not coming back into the in-ring or anything like that. He's coming back because he signed himself a Legends deal. And I'm talking about the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, is coming back.
Yes.
He has officially re-signed with the WWE, making his return to the company under a new Legends contract. This news comes after Henry's departure from AEW in 2024, where he had been a key figure both on screen and behind the scenes. Ringside Collectibles confirmed the signing with an announcement that also revealed an exciting development for action figure collectors. Mark Henry has signed a WWE Legends deal, which includes a new WWE Mattel figure. The statement read, the company went on to engage fans by asking, which Mattel figure of the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, do you want to see first? And I'm going to pose that question to you. Which figure would you like to see? Because I got a couple of them that I wouldn't mind seeing.
I think really we have to go with maybe his most fun-loving character to start off, and that being Sexual Chocolate. But I also wouldn't mind seeing the Hall of Fame Mark Henry as the first one.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, I think we've seen the Hall of Fame Mark Henry Mattel figures before. So I'm going to go really classic here. And I'm going to go with the first episode of Raw he showed up on, where he was dressed up in that red, white, and blue, like, tracksuit from the Olympics.
Right.
The episode where he press slammed Jerry Lawler over the top rope, I think it was, or something like that.
Right.
If they have that Mark Henry, that would be cool. That would be a nice collectible.
Right.
And I'm also going to go with Nation of Domination Mark Henry.
Yeah, I can get behind that one. 100% I can get behind that one.
This is another one I can get behind for Chris Parrish. The Salmon Jacket Mark Henry. 100% I would get behind that one. That was one of Mark Henry's best promos. Why would you want to make a figure based off that?
That would be awesome. I wonder if this also has to do with the fact that his son is on an NIL deal.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I mean, Mark Henry's work in the ring speaks for itself for him.
It does. It does.
Brought back into the WWE fold. And I feel like he would be very beneficial if he's doing more than just, let's say he's doing more than just the Legends deal. I think he would be beneficial if they brought him to the PC to help work with some of the bigger wrestlers there in learning and how to move around the ring as a big guy.
Right. I'm also wondering, and I'm saying this because I did see a clip last night from LFG where I believe it was one of the Undertaker's students clamped down on her opponent, who's one of Mickey James' students, and I'm talking about a woman named Bailey Humphrey. And she busted out Khali's Crusher. But speaking of Legends contracts, there was another one that was announced yesterday that we discussed post Raw Patrol. And this was signed by Royce Adams and his mother, giving Brian Adams, also known as Crush, a WWE Legends deal.
I was hoping for Summer of '69, Brian Adams. But no, the Crush deal actually does excite me because, again, I also think of video games as well with these Legends deals. Like, I expect Mark Henry's going to be in not this year's WWE because I'm pretty sure all of the wrestlers have been announced as far as DLC content goes. So it will be in next year's game. But give me Kona Crush in a WWE game.
Right.
His theme song is just so badass. I love it.
Right. And I mean, I was a huge fan of his because, like, long before I turned to cheering the heels.
Oh, I just thought of something else real cool. But finish your thought.
I was a huge fan of Kona Crush, the fun-loving Hawaiian who did use the exact same crusher as Khali did. But he was really probably the first guy that I loved after he turned heel.
How fitting is it that Crush signed his Crush got this Legends deal, or the family of Crush got this Legends deal after Demolition got theirs.
Right.
Think about this in the video game format now.
Yep.
For the first time, maybe in next year's game, if they do it, all three members of Demolition as one stable in next year's game.
Yes. And I do have to ask, because do we also see then a Barry Darsow Repo Man character included in the game?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past them to actually just put like his gear in the game, but not necessarily Repo Man himself.
Right.
Because they have done that. They have done like where they put like a wrestler in the game, but then they put, like, for instance, Lex Luger. I remember one year he was put in the game, but his Made in the USA gear was also put in the game, not necessarily a part of Lex Luger himself.
Right.
But with this deal, Mark Henry joins the ranks of other WWE legends who have maintained an official partnership with the company, ensuring his enduring legacy in professional wrestling. Fans can look forward to new merchandise and potential appearances from the former world heavyweight champion as part of the WWE's ongoing celebration of its iconic stars. So with that being said, I also kind of think that maybe we will see Mark Henry show up on a pre-show panel for like a pay-per-view or something like that.
Right.
Or, just show up for autograph signings, maybe at, say, the World for SummerSlam, for WrestleMania, for the Royal Rumble. And I think they do it for Survivor Series now, too.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for both men, for both those deals. We've got Bubba coming in and saying, "Hi, hey guys, how's it going? It's going pretty well, Bubba. Glad to have you here on the show."
Good evening to you, sir.
We're talking a little Mark Henry and his Legends deal being signed. But I'm tremendously excited. I keep saying I want to see him go in the Hall of Fame, but he's already there.
Right.
So I'm happy about that. I want to see him get involved in some more original content for maybe either YouTube or the Netflix side of things. Bring back Table for Three. And I know Mark Henry's done a Table for Three with the Nation of Domination, but I'm excited. I'm interested to see where this goes, what we can see out of Mark Henry, what we can see out of even Crush, because let's not forget, we've got Demolition Crush, Kona Crush, DOA Crush, and even Brian Adams as Chronic, if they can get Wrath to sign a Legends deal as well.
Yes, we can get Brian Clark.
Mm-hmm. I forgot what his name was. So
yes, yes, I am excited for them. I'd even like to see maybe Mark Henry come back in a manager's role. The problem is maybe his size is just too much for that, because he's not going to take the bump and get knocked out.
I'm not even sure he can really bump, because remember the last time we seen him, he was walking around with that wheel crutch. Although I think that was just a temporary injury. Bubba is saying maybe a coach for LFG. I recommended that he becomes a coach for the PC as a whole, like a full-time coach, and he trains and works with these bigger dudes. Like I'm looking on my screen at Obafemi right now.
Right. I'm also thinking that perhaps, again, I mean, you don't want to get into the nepotism, but really coach his son, work with his son on the ins and outs. And to Bubba's point with LFG, maybe work with a guy like an Elijah Holyfield to really start showing him the ins and outs. I know these guys have their coaches, but this is another guy that you can draw that from.
Yeah, and that show has been bringing in its guest coaches anyway, so. But regardless, this is interesting. I'm excited for Mark Henry. I'm glad that he's back within the WWE fold. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him on my WWE TV because, God, I missed him.
Right. We all have. And I mean, he had fun doing what he did in AEW. At least that's what were shown on screen. Mm-hmm. But he was also seemingly very, very limited in what we saw. Just that main event interview leading into the Rampage main event on a Friday night.
Right.
And, you get the time for talk is over. It's time for the main event. And then all of a sudden that just disappeared.
Yeah. I was thinking about guys that I could see leaving AEW to come back to the WWE under a Legends deal, and I'm thinking Big Show is going to be the next dude to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't heard anything out of what he's been doing since he signed with AEW. I've heard maybe he's done one, maybe two matches.
2 matches. He was doing commentary on their Dark and Dark Elevation before those got erased.
Yeah.
I believe he is still commentary on Ring of Honor.
Okay, but I feel like Big Show was better off with the WWE. That's just my personal thought on that.
Right. I know there's been a lot of talk of him reviving the Captain Insano gimmick for a match or two from, I want to say, the Waterboy movie with Adam Sandler.
Yes. You actually got that correct.
And believe it or not,
do yourself a
I've
Barry
never,
Horowitz and pat yourself on the back with that one.
believe it or not, I've never seen the movie. We did
Yeah.
see it in one segment a couple of years ago with Adam Cole and MJF.
Yes.
But we are talking about in-ring getting him back. But again, Big Show is another guy that is just struggling now to walk.
And that's the thing too. Like if you bring Big Show over on a Legends deal, all you need him to do is show up, do his little hand thing, and just get that little bit of a nostalgia pop, you know?
Yeah.
Whether he's like a guest on an episode of Raw, sitting in the audience, or just going out and, like I said, going to the WWE World for whichever pay-per-view they do it for, and just signing autographs and meeting the fans. Plus, also the action figure deal, the video game deal, and of course, the one reason that a lot of these legends actually sign their deal, the health insurance.
Yes.
Now, let's leave the WWE right now. Let's go over to Japan because there's a relatively creepy story coming out of Japan. A photographer was sued by female professional wrestlers after he captured and posted suggestive images of them during their performances. Last month, World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, an agency that manages female pro wrestlers in Japan, settled its lawsuit against a photographer over the invasive images he took of its athletes. The Tokyo District Court announced that a settlement had been reached in the lawsuit, which stems from events occurring back in April 2023. According to a report by Japan Times, one of the professional female wrestlers managed by World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, whose name has been withheld for privacy reasons, discovered photos captured during her performances that sexualized and accentuated parts of her body. The suggestive photographs that has been posted across various social media platforms caused female wrestlers to become anxious to the point that she cannot concentrate during her matches, according to the lawsuit. Taisha Fuwa, general manager at World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, reached out to the photographer behind the invasive images on X, platform formerly known as Twitter, on behalf of the female wrestler. Fuwa requested that the photos be taken down, but the photographer refused to do so. The agency felt that there was no other option than to sue the photographer behind the images. Japan Times reports that the agency also found that there were suggestive photographs of other female wrestlers posted online besides the athlete previously mentioned. Among these images was a photo of a female pro wrestler as a young 14-year-old. A lawsuit to protect World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana filed a lawsuit against the photographer in January 2024, last month. The agency and the pro wrestler reached a court settlement with the photographer. The photographer was ordered to pay 540,000 yen, that's equivalent to 3,340 US dollars, each to the agency and the pro wrestler mentioned. The photographer is prohibited from sharing any information or images about the agency or its wrestlers on any media platform, including social media. Additionally, they have agreed to avoid all events organized by the agency or those by its wrestlers, even if it's hosted by other companies. As part of the settlement, the World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana also agreed not to reveal the photographer's identity unless they are new violating images, at which point the agency reserves the right to take appropriate action to protect its athletes. I think the lawsuit will serve as a certain deterrent, Fuwa says in a news conference in Tokyo. Rather than simply imposing a severe punishment on the individual, our primary goal was to raise awareness and prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. Yeah, Bubba, I agree with you. This is sickening that this person did this. OMD, I want your thoughts on this.
As young as 14.
Yeah.
I am disgusted. I don't think that $3,400 is near enough to pay to the agency and the one individual. This should be, at minimum, every individual. he should not be allowed near any events, not allowed near a camera, and not be allowed anywhere near a computer either. This is just disgusting, disturbing, and I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you've breached the trust. You've breached the trust of these female athletes by doing things like that.
You've breached the trust of the entire wrestling community. I don't care, male or female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just completely sickening. That $3,340, that's not enough in my personal opinion. And they did agree that this person will not be allowed to attend any. It sounds like basically any women's wrestling event, because this company, this agency, they deal with a bunch of wrestling promotions that their wrestlers are involved in. Yeah, I agree with you, Bubba. Why is this person not in jail? They should be, and I guarantee, just based off this report, if this photographer didn't give two craps about what was about the photos being there, and he will continue to do it again, and he will get his just desserts. That's just how I think it could happen.
I honestly, I hate to go to this extent, but it would not surprise me if he is involved, and I'm assuming it's a he.
Mm-hmm.
Involved in some sort of a trafficking ring, and this is how these people are picking.
Yeah. The less said about this piece of trash, the better. So let's just we had to raise awareness to everyone out there. Be aware of like what's going on. Beware of the photographers, everything at a wrestling event.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestlers are people too.
Yeah, and
they have thoughts, they have feelings.
And if you're the promoter, be aware of who you're hiring as far as these goes. Take a look at their, for instance, if you're hiring a photographer for a show, look at their portfolio and see if there's anything that turns you off or that gives you, that raises red flags, you know.
Yeah.
But let's move on to some happier news here, and some news that we got last night while watching Raw, because I want to share some memories of this gentleman. Fred Ottman, Typhoon, and John Tenta, Earthquake, have been formally announced to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. It has been a long time coming for Earthquake, more specifically. I feel like he should have been in like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What are some of your fondest memories of Earthquake? Both of them, we'll say, actually. And who do you think inducts them?
To induct the natural disasters, and I'm going to go this with one of their biggest rivals, actually, because I think this would be appropriate. I'm going to say Money Incorporated inducts them. You get the $1 Million Man and IRS. I mean, needless to say, them winning the tag team championships, as well, I guess, getting Fred Ottman into the Typhoon character and away from being Tugboat.
One of my favorite heel turns, by the way, was when he did that.
Again, with Earthquake, I mean, you got to go with the push-up situation with, I believe it was Dino Bravo, and then he turned on Hulk Hogan.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior. Okay.
It was Dino Bravo and the Ultimate Warrior. They're having a push-up contest in the ring. Dino's like, you know what? I want to see if I can get one of the biggest dudes in the crowd to come and sit on my back to do it. And you can plainly see John Tenta, Earthquake, sitting way deep in the crowd. I'm glad that they didn't have him sitting at ringside like most of these fan pick situations are nowadays. But they had him sitting up in the crowd, and you could tell, like, when he came into the ring, he was nervous and all that, or he was nervous because he was in on the plot, because he turned on Warrior and sided with Dino. And I remember Jesse Ventura's commentary. Hey, he's a pretty good wrestler.
Right. As well, I mean, his time with WCW as Avalanche, as the Shark, as John Tenta.
Yep, when he walked around with the half-shaved head after Big Boss Man or Big Bubba Rogers shaved half his head, and they had that Bash at the Beach '96, same night as Owen Hogan turned Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame turned NWO, and he had that match with Big Bubba Rogers, and it was a fistful of quarters match, and you had to climb a pole to grab the quarters, and then once you grab those quarters, you were free to do with it what you want to your opponent.
Right. And then, of course, making his return as Golga, a member of the Oddities. And then not a lot of people are going to remember the Oddities.
Yeah, and then the last match we got to see him in a WWE ring, WrestleMania 17 in the Gimmick Battle Royal.
Yep.
He did actually, about a year after that, I think it was, he did a dark match where they were planning to possibly bring him back, but nothing came to fruition on that one. But I wanted to bring it back to Tugboat or Typhoon. I'm glad he's going into the Hall of Fame too. But one of my favorite heel turns was when it was 6-man tag team action. It was the Nasty Boys and Earthquake taking on the Bushwhackers and Tugboat. And all through the match, they were trying to go and tag Tugboat, but Tugboat was doing something like pretending not to see the tag or anything like that, or moving away from the tag when it needed to be done to go and maybe brawl with Earthquake or something. And then, like, when you see him come into the ring and finally take the tag, and he turns around and he just wallops, I think it was like Butch, and just beats the snot out of the both of them. And then he gets up like, yeah, we're friends and everything like that, and high-fiving. And it was well done. A well-done heel turn.
Right. I mean, I suppose the one thing that poor Fred is going to have to live in infamy with is the Shockmaster debut.
Oh, he rolls with the punches on that one now.
Oh, I know he does.
He brings that helmet with him to autograph signings. There's a Mattel figure made of the Shockmaster that he signs gladly every time the fan brings him one. But as far as people inducting him go, and I thought about this as well. I thought Jimmy Hart, because Jimmy Hart used to manage them.
Yeah.
I did think Money Incorporated, but I also thought of a family member of Fred Ottman's, the current WWE champion, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
That's his nephew.
Yes, it is. Yes,
I'd be okay with Cody inducting.
I'd be happy with that. But I mean, if we're talking about natural disasters, maybe we should be looking at a tsunami to induct them in Bronson Reed.
That would be cool. That would be cool as well. I'm just over the moon ecstatic because, as I said, for Earthquake and for Typhoon, it's a long time coming. They've always had matches like on those pay-per-views. Like, yeah, they'd always wrestle like the low card matches, but they had those matches that I always looked forward to, because for me, there's no in between for the wrestlers that I like. I either like the small wrestlers or the big wrestlers.
Yeah.
And
see, and I remember watching, I believe it was actually at camp on a Saturday morning. So it was, whether it was Wrestling Challenge or Superstars or Primetime Wrestling, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the Natural Disasters defending the tag team championships against Money Inc. and DiBiase getting the win with the $1 Million Dream on Typhoon.
I remember that match. I have watched that match before too. I will never forget the one time though. There was a moment. It was the '92 Royal Rumble. Typhoon and Earthquake were challenging the Legion of Doom for the tag team titles. And I'm going to make fun of Earthquake a little bit here. But he kind of came across as an idiot after the promo, because the natural after the match, because the Natural Disasters got disqualified, and then they grabbed the tag titles and started celebrating with them, only for them to go backstage to be interviewed by Sean Mooney and be like, "We won the match. We should be the tag team champions." And Sean Mooney's like, "You guys got disqualified."
No.
And then Quake was like, "I don't care. We should be tag team champions."
You know, the one thing that I do find funny, if you go back to that day and age now, and I realize that, you know, the way wrestling has evolved, you wouldn't see it or think about it. But with guys like the Natural Disasters versus the Legion of Doom, or even the Powers of Pain, stuff like that, you never saw the ring implode with those guys.
No, because Gorilla Monsoon would be on commentary and be like, "Oh, they reinforced the ring for this one."
Right.
And that was the beauty of of Earthquake and Typhoon. We talked about big guys who can move with the agility that like Yokozuna, Bronson Reed, Bam Bam Bigelow had. Earthquake is definitely in that conversation. He had a ton of agility on him, as did Typhoon. Typhoon sometimes gassed out, but yes, they.
Who was Earthquake's sumo opponent?
Akibono or Yokozuna, pick which one. They had two sumo matches.
Okay.
Akibono was Big Show. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yokozuna.
So it was the sumo. I remember him wrestling Yoko. I didn't remember that one was being a sumo match.
Yeah, and Earthquake just destroyed Yoko because, well, John Tenda, as most of you guys, if you guys don't know, he didn't quite reach Grand Champion or Yokozuna as they call it, but he was one of the higher ranked champions in sumo wrestling way back before he became a pro wrestler. There's a whole dark side of the ring on Earthquake, and I highly recommend you guys check it out.
Yes. And for those that don't know, John Tenta, Earthquake, whatever name you choose to remember him by, whichever character, is BC born and bred. He is a Canadian.
Yes, he is. That's why his full wrestling name before they just shortened it to Earthquake, they called him the Great Canadian Earthquake.
Okay.
You don't remember that, do you? It was only for like a year or two that they called him that.
I do not remember that at all.
But yeah, totally excited. And now that this is a thing, and I've got to assume that there's a Legends deal again. We've talked about Legends deal earlier. Put the Natural Disasters in some more WWE games. And I say some more because they've been in previous games.
Yes, they have. Now, I know we were all excited earlier this year when we found out Demolition was signing their Legends deals, and I know we were all plugging for them to get this Hall of Fame spot for the tag teams. But you couldn't have picked another more deserving tag team than the Natural Disasters to go in.
Right? So we're coming up on like 20 minutes to the hour here. What do you say we move on to our showcase, our Showstopper segment?
Let's do it.
On his feet. Oh my God in heaven!
And of course, our Showstopper segment is going to be talking about the Point to Prove CWE event coming this Thursday in Sault Ste. Marie to Sue Blaster. We're going to cover the matches that are expected to take place on this show, starting off with what is going to be one of the main matches, of course. Chad Daniels, our new CWE champion who defeated Mentolo for the title, tag teaming with one Diego Da Vinci to take on Chris Masters and Vinny Da Vinci. That's right. The masterpiece, Chris Masters, is going to be at this event. I'm looking forward to this one. As much as I've moved on from the Da Vinci feud, right, I'm looking forward to this one because this is going to be a hell of a match for Chris Masters. I don't know much about Chad Daniels. I know the other three wrestlers, but I'm very excited about this one.
Right.
what have you got on this one?
I've only seen Chad Daniels once. Like you, I've moved away from the Da Vinci feud.
Mm-hmm.
But we did see the last time Chris Masters was here that Chris Masters teamed up with Vinny Da Vinci against Diego. I don't remember who Diego's partner was, if that was Sergeant Commando or if he had a different partner that night.
So this is a bit of a rematch of sorts on Diego's side.
It is. It is.
Okay.
So it is going to be interesting. In this case, I'm going to say I hope Diego wins. Just because I do believe that Vinny and Masters won the last time. But again, we don't need to continue dragging on the Vinny Diego thing.
I need Vinny to win this one to get that local pop, you know?
Right.
Because both Vinny and Diego are your local boys.
Yes.
And Vinny just, well, you've seen it hundreds of times, as have I. Vinny just gets that crowd going wild
Oh,
when
he
he
does.
comes out.
He does.
See, Bubba's with me too. Vinny all the way. Yeah. This next match, though, this is one that I completely forgot about until I looked at the card today that I'm very jacked about. Our CWE Central Canadian Championship will be on the line as the champion, Kamikaze, defends against AJ Sanchez. This is going to be a hell of a match here.
Yes. For anybody who knows me, I am a huge AJ Sanchez fan.
And I'm a huge Kamikaze fan. I love the guy.
I've never seen Kamikaze.
You're in for a treat if you're going to this Thursday show.
Bubba, you are not putting your boot into AJ's head this time. You're not allowed.
He's going to be in the VIP section, so he probably will be allowed.
So this time, and the last time AJ had a title match here in the Sioux, he got robbed. So this time around, AJ takes the title. AJ got robbed against Mentalo on a bad count from Deuce Diamond.
That moonsault off the second rope, man, that still lives rent-free in my head, and that's why I'm excited about this match, because I know what Kamikaze can do. I know what AJ Sanchez can do. AJ Sanchez, we talked about those big guys that can move. AJ Sanchez is one of those dudes.
Yep.
And Kamikaze, you never know what to expect out of him. Think about sitting ringside and watching a Jeff Hardy match, but multiply that by about 10. You don't know what to expect out of them. But what I expect out of this next match, because this is a match that I feel like falls right down one of the competitors' alley, we'll say. Yeah. Rusty Blackwell, and I feel sorry for his opponent. He's taking on one half of the Double D's, Danny Diggler.
Okay.
This match is a loser eats dog food match. This is something that totally goes down Rusty Blackwell's alley.
It does, but I do have to ask why. The dog food match did not resonate well a few years ago in the WWE. I'm not a big fan of the dog food match. But yes, I'm going to give this one to Rusty Blackwell. Though I do love the chicanery of the Double Ds. I have seen them as a tag team and as singles competitors.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know what they're going to try and pull out. But yeah, this one is for Rusty Blackwell.
I fully expect Derek to make his presence felt in that match.
Right. I could see Rusty Blackwell actually being the guy and with his character actually enjoy eating the can of dog food.
I could see him just shoving, just taking, we'll say a pie tin of dog food and just shoving it into Danny's face. I totally 100% can see Rusty doing that. And I've got Rusty taking the win on this one. Talk about other beatdowns that could very well happen. We might see a massacre with this next match. Samson is going one-on-one with hotshot Danny Duggan. Danny's in trouble. I think Danny's in trouble.
See, for me, right here, this match steals the show.
Yeah.
This match steals the show. I've only seen Samson once, and he won via DQ. So I've got to go with the veteran. I got to go with Hotshot. But this is going to be a fight, and this match steals the show for me.
Yeah, this is going to be a hell of a match. But I've seen like the progression that Samson has gone through. He's only had a handful of years in the business.
Right.
And over the last year, you saw that I've seen that progression with him and just how he soaks everything in as far as, being in the ring goes. And he's wrestled Danny once before. And that match ended on a disqualification too. So I'm thinking Samson is going to want to get his revenge.
Right.
And
well, see, the only time I saw Samson, he wrestled the headline Shawn Martins here.
Yeah, and that's Shawn Martins again lost via low blow, if I remember correctly in that one.
Yeah, Shawn Martins lost via DQ. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then took a couple of power bombs from Samson, who really reminded me of Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Yeah, and that's the vibe I get with Samson as he comes to the ring, because he's a giant of a man.
He is.
And like I said, I fear for Danny Duggan's safety in this match. I think Samson's going to finally get his win. The win that he's been looking for in this one. Now, another match that we've got on this card, we already mentioned him earlier. Derek Diggler is also going to be in action from the Double Ds. He's going to be taking on Dan Jarrus. Now, I've seen both these men in action. Dan Jarrus is just a fantastic performer. Derek Diggler is also a fantastic performer. This is going to be my technical match of the night. I feel like there's going to be a lot of, I'm going to say comedy elements with technical wrestling, because that's how the Double Ds wrestle. They're like the comedic heels.
Right. I've seen Dan Jarrus once as well. And I think this goes to Dan Jarrus, but like you, this is going to be, I think this would make for a tremendous opener.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought of something too, as I was thinking about this match earlier, and I knew that Derek was also in action. What if this somehow leads to a tag team match, playa?
I could absolutely.
Depending on which match starts first, like I can see the Digglers getting involved in both matches, and then somebody saying, "Hey, look, this is now a tag team match that we're going to have, and the losers have to do the dog food."
Yeah,
I could see that happening to both men.
Yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, because the last time he was here, Dan Jarrus came out as a heel.
Yeah, and I can't remember when he made the turn, to be honest with you.
Okay. Because I remember Chad Daniels as a babyface the last time he was here. The last time I saw him.
Yeah, and again, like I'm not sure when he made the turn either. Sorry, go ahead.
What I was going to suggest is, could we see Dan Jarrus be that wolf in sheep's clothing? We get that tag team match only for Dan Jarrus to turn, because if I remember correctly on Dan Jarrus's Videotron, and I don't know if we've got the videos at Sue Blasters yet. Again,
we do.
And you force Rusty Blackwell to eat the can of dog food with that 3-on-1.
You might be onto something there, but we'll have to check it all out on Thursday. There's also another special event that Chris Masters is doing. He's doing the Master Lock Challenge.
Nice.
I wonder if this is going to be, he picks a fan out of the crowd, locks them in, and then they break out. Maybe he offers some money or something to whoever breaks out.
You know what? Like I told you the other night, I wanted to when I did the bacon bagels and biceps brunch on WrestleMania Sunday at WrestleMania 23. And I wanted to ask Chris Masters and Mark Henry, I was willing to actually take the Master Lock Challenge right there at the brunch. So count me in. If he does the Master Lock Challenge, I will be the first one with my hand up.
We'll have to see how my shoulder is feeling to see if I get in on that too.
Right?
Maybe
You're going to
Carl
be busy on commentary.
Hey, we've seen commentators take the Master Lock Challenge before.
We have.
But this is all in all, this is going to be an exciting night of action. If you guys are in the Sault Ste. Marie area while you're listening to this, be sure to go down to Sioux Blasters. Check out CWE this Thursday night. I believe bell time is at 7 p.m. I've got to scroll up here to take a look. It's not telling me, but click the see more. That'll help. Yeah, bell time at 7 p.m. Do yourself a favor and check out these CWE events. You're in for a treat, regardless of what city you're in or what city you're nearby. Just give them a follow on Facebook, CWE, Canadian Wrestling's Elite. But on that note, I think it's time that we show everybody the things we've got going on with the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we got total non-stop action with Brace for Impact at 8 p.m. Friday we game again with Unleashed, the Jessica Wilde story at 7 p.m. Following the game, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
And there are more ways that you can be a part of the show. All you got to do is just visit affiliationprogram.my.canva.site. You'll be able to reach out, find out about who we are as the podcasters, reach out, get some a little bit of information about podcasting, and perhaps even do some collaborations with us. Once again, that's affiliationprogram.my.canva.site. OMD, where can the people look for you?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find me, you can find me at my link tree, linktr.ee/OMD show. And
All right.
yourself, Mr. Best.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, guys, you can give me a look at my link tree, linktr.ee/Chris_best83. And before we head out, I'd like to give a little shout out to Carl and maybe showcase some of the stores that we've got going on. Like, for instance, our Redbubble account. Go to carlcarafel.redbubble.com. You'll be able to purchase all kinds of merchandise regarding the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program there, whether it's Saturday Night Gaming, the Chris Parrish podcast, the Boar's Nest, Locker Room Breakdown. There's all kinds of apparel, all kinds of different products for you to purchase there. Also, if you want to follow Carl, let's give a shout out to his social medias. Follow him at his link tree, linktr.ee/KARLKARUFEL, Carl Carafel. On that note, OMD, what are those famous words we like to go out on?
Ladies and gentlemen, the world is a scary place. Take care of each other. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios, Turnbuckle Talk, and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, to those of you out there, wherever you are, good night, good luck. We out.